Hello everyone, Dr. Odds here to break down UFC Fight Night. Isreal Adesanya taking on Nassourdine Imavov in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on the 1st of February. This will be a very early card with prelims taking place at 9 a.m. Eastern Time and the main card opening up at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So on the first fight of the night, it's going to be Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady. He was expected to take on Jordan Levitt, but Jordan Levitt had to pull out due to medical health concerns. So now we have a short minute replacement with Bolaji Oki. Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady took a KO loss, TKO loss from Loic Radzhabov in the third round. Al-Selwady was knocked down before eventually knocked out. Having come off a unanimous decision win in the Dana White Contender Series prior against Judge Hardwick, where he landed 90 strikes with 69 significant strikes, targeting mostly the head and legs. Bolaji Oki coming off a submission loss to Chris Duncan, where he was having much success striking, but went for a takedown on Chris Duncan, who jumped the ghillie. If you don't know, that's the guillotine choke, where he was choked unconscious. Prior to that, he came off a split decision win against Timothy Kwamba, where he outstruck Timothy, but with his boxing. And there should have been ruled a unanimous decision due to the volume. But hey, you can't trust these judges. El-Selwady has terrible takedown defense. Although he has the capabilities to land his own, he isn't a submission grappler, averaging 0 submission attempts in his UFC fights. His best traits is his leg kicks. Bolaji Oki, the taller fighter with a longer reach and better striking, will be able to edge this fight if he's able to keep his distance, touchy striking, and avoid staying on his back. So my prediction is to give me the better boxer, give me the more dangerous striker, and give me Bolaji Oki to win this fight by decision. Second fight of the night is between Abdelwahab taking on Jamal Pogues. Hamdy is an undefeated Olympic wrestler signed to the UFC after a TKO victory against Strickland, not Sean, but Matthew, who is yet to secure an MMA victory. He got knocked out by Hamdy twice in his only 2 professional fights. Hamdy made his MMA debut taking on Dontel Mace, who he defeated by unanimous decision easily by securing 3 takedowns and a knockdown, but the fight got overturned to a no contest after Hamdy tested positive to a prohibited sample, failing both tests conducted before his scheduled bout, and almost a month after the fight, he was suspended for 2 years by USADA. Jamal Pogues who already has 4 fights under the UFC banner, including his Dana White Contender Series fight. Jamal Pogues has shown his cardio to be able to take fights to all 3 rounds, either win or lose. Coming off an underdog decision win against Thomas Peterson, where his boxing strikes landed to opponent's head, scored him the victory. Peterson is a courage wrestler, only succeeded only once out of his 6 attempts, scoring a 2 minutes 47 seconds of control time. Prior to that, he lost to Mick Parkins, who he got outstruck by, as he has no answer to the leg kicks, which resulted to offensively grapple Parkins on the cage. In his first official UFC fight, he was able to utilize his wrestling against a Josh Parisian, who has no grappling and since then has been cut from the promotion. Evidently, Pogues' wrestling credentials does not compare to Hamdy's grappling. Pogues would have to rely on his boxing and utilize leg kicks, which he doesn't do often. Hamdy coming back from a 2-year layoff will be tough to get back to a groove after a long layoff, but I believe Hamdy is able to score a lot of control time, leading to a win by unanimous decision. So give me Abdelwahab for the pick. Next fight and third fight of the night is Bogdan Grad taking on Lucas Alexander. Bogdan Grad losing his first Dana White Contender Series fight by TKO in 2023 against current UFC fighter Tom Nolan after securing 2 finishes in Cage Series, an MMA organization which was able to redeem. He was also able to redeem himself a year later, taking on the Dana White Contender Series and securing a split decision victory as a slight underdog against Michael Aswell to secure a UFC contract, in which both Bogdan Grad and Aswell got a UFC contract in the fight. Lucas Alexander, on the other hand, he lost his last fight as a minus 500 favorite against Jeka Sergei by knockout within the first minute and 30 seconds of the first round, with Jeka landing a takedown knockdown with only 4 strikes. It showcases dynamic. Lucas Alexander showcases dynamic striking against Sam Peterson, which he dominated by unanimous decision, coming from a lackluster start on a short notice fight against Joe Anderson Brito. But then Joe Anderson Brito really starches almost everyone that comes across him. He has great submission game. My prediction is I don't see anything great in Bogdan Grad, to be fair. The competition he dominates has been terrible. The scorecard of the Dana White Contender Series, to me, looked awful, as he didn't perform better than his opponent. But he landed the more powerful strikes with the better wrestling. Lucas Alexander is susceptible to getting finished, either by knockout or submission. So in this fight, I'll be taking Bogdan Grad to score a lot of control time, to also be a very busy striker, and also have the bigger moments in the fight. So I'll be taking Bogdan Grad in this fight to win, either by submission or decision. Moving on to the next fight and 4th fight of the night. This will be the first female UFC fight in Saudi Arabia. This is between Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Mayra Bueno Silva. Jasmine Jasudavicius is coming off a win against Ariana Da Silva, formerly known as Ariane Lipski, by 3rd round submission, where she dominated every round. She also took the O and hype train of Fatima Klein, training partner of Erin Blatchfield, who is among the top 5 in the women's flyweight division. Jasmine has been on an incredible run in the division, winning 6 of her last 8 fights, with only losses to Tracy Cortez, who she got outstruck by, and Natalia Silva, who did the same, and showed Jasmine has work to do with her striking defense and offense, but excels in her wrestling and grappling to win fights. Mayra Bueno Silva, on the other hand, is moving down to the flyweight division after a TKO doctor stoppage loss in her last fight to Macy Chiasson. The fight was competitive until the cut she sustained, which, after examined by the doctor, was stopped. Prior to that, she fought for the title against Raquel Pennington, which she lost, as Raquel dominated by unanimous decision. But Mayra was able to have Raquel in submission moments in terrible positions, taking it back taking it back numerous times between both fighters. In this fight, Mayra is fighting for a job, which is probably the reason why she's dropping down in weight class. So I expect her to be relentless in this fight and threaten submissions when taken to the ground. Jasmine's pathway to victory is to shoot for takedowns and seek control position over submission. Mayra is a BJJ black belt and will use this as an opportunity to earn a submission in the fight if it presents itself. This fight can also play out on the feet for the most part, in which I believe Mayra Bueno Silva to be the better striker. After much deliberating, I am taking Mayra Bueno Silva to win, either by submission or by decision. But I would suggest by decision is the pick for me. Next fight and 5th fight of the night will be between Ziam taking on veteran fighter Mike Davis. Ziam coming off an impressive knockout victory over Matt Frevola in the 3rd round, where Fares dominated in the striking and grappling while scoring a knockdown before the finish. Split decision victory over BJJ grappler Puelles showcased how good his grappling has improved since his Terrance McKinney lost by submission. Winning a striking battle against Jai Herbert and Michael Figlak also shows how good his kickboxing skills are, since he's also able to mix it up with takedowns to secure rounds. Mike Davis is a well-seasoned vet. He fought the better competition, but doesn't fight as often. He came off his last fight over a year sitting out due to injuries with a submission victory over Nathan Levy. Nathan shot for a takedown and Mike walked his BJJ to win by arm triangle, cashing as a minus 525 favorite. Prior to that, he used his wrestling to take down Slavaklos Boshev with an 8 minutes of control time, one submission attempt to earn a unanimous decision victory. Mike Davis isn't a type of grappler that can hold you to the ground if you have good enough wrestling. Although Ferrez Ziam's takedown defense is still a work in progress, but he's been able to work on reversals and submissions if unable to get up. Davis is the better grappler and submission artist, but I predict this fight will mostly take part on the feet. So give me Ferrez Ziam to win. Method of victory is by decision. Moving on to the sixth fight of the night between Terrance McKinney taking on Damir Adzovich. Terrance McKinney, the significantly younger fighter with the longer reach and finishing capabilities. All his wins and losses end in a finish. So at this point, we all know Terrance McKinney is a kill or be killed fighter. Coming off a loss in his last fight against Esteban Ribovic, where his chin failed him once again after a kick. McKinney was left unconscious, but his mouth guard had him looking like he was smiling with his butt on the canvas and his back leaning on the cage. Damir Adzovich, on the other hand, hasn't been in the cage since his 2022 loss against Mark Diakaze, where he was taken to the ground and dominated with almost a 14 minutes control time. Mark Diakaze has since been cut by the promotion for lack of excitement in his fight. Adzovich is a volume striker with capabilities of landing over 100 strikes, which he did in his last win. Unfortunately, the only win in his last 4 fights. So he risks getting caught with a loss here. This is a set of fights to end in a finish. Under 2.5 is the best bet for this matchup. I predict Terrance McKinney to win, and McKinney by submission is the pick. Seventh fight of the night and fight to close out the prelims is in the heavyweight division. Shamir Gaziev taking on Tomas Peterson. Shamil Gaziev, although he was unable to finish Dante Umays inside the distance to justify his minus 320 betting line, he was able to secure 2 out of 3 takedowns with 12 minutes of control time. This was his first fight back since his first career loss against Jairzinho Rosenstruck, a powerful puncher with a kickboxing background. Thomas Peterson, on the other hand, is a decorated courage wrestler, coming off a win over Mohamed Usman, who is relatively just a strong powerhouse with no significant skills anywhere. Although being a wrestler at his core doesn't spend a significant amount of his fights on the ground, with a takedown accuracy of 27.23%, having no submission attempts since his Dana White Contender Series debut fight, which he won by submission. Shamir's path to victory is to utilize his striking. He always falls back to the pattern of taking his opponents to the ground and working his ground and pound. I don't see any submission threats from Peterson in this fight, so give me the more dynamic finisher in Shamir Gaziev to win by decision. First fight and the main card opener is in the featherweight division between Mohamed Naimov taking on Kaan Ofli. Mohamed Naimov coming off a loss in a competitive fight against UFC prospect Felipe Lima, where he was submitted by rear naked choke in the 3rd round. Naimov was also able to TKO Eric Silva in 44 seconds, which seemed impressive, but Eric Silva isn't anything good or great within the division. Naimov relies on taking the fights to the ground, then walking his ground and pound. Kaan Ofli, coming off a TKO loss to Marion Santos, where he was outstruck and knocked out. He looked outmatched in that fight and wasn't able to secure a takedown, which is the basis of his game. Mohamed Naimov is the more skilled and dynamic fighter. Ofli relies on his boxing to win striking exchanges and clinching to control the fight, thereby reducing the effectiveness of his opponent. Ofli has lots of submission in his arsenal, training at Australian top team. I'm certain Naimov is able to avoid the rear naked choke and the submission attempts in this fight that will be presented from Kaan Ofli. And also, I believe Naimov should be able to get a victory in this matchup. The pick will be Naimov by submission. And if Ofli is tough enough, then he will be able to avoid that, and it will be Naimov by decision. Night's fights of the card is between Isreal Adesanya taking on Andre Muniz. Isreal Adesanya skyrocketed to the top in his last fight after several cancelled bouts. Was set to face Robert Whittaker, who defeated him in the first round by TKO after scoring a knockdown. Prior to that, he defeated low-level competitions in Wally Alves and Phil House, also by first-round knockout. Andre Muniz, on the other hand, is in this fight. Andre Muniz will be looking to make it less of a dogfight, utilizing his leg kicks and point-striking jabs. He was coming off a split decision victory over John York Park, where he was able to use his wrestling with control time of almost 10 minutes to win that fight. Prior to that, Andre Muniz has gotten several submission victories, but to fighters who are also no longer in the UFC anymore. So since being in the UFC, Isreal Adesanya has never been past the first round. Andre Muniz would have to wrestle and look for late round submissions to win this fight. Under 2.5 is the best bet for this fight, and I predict Ikram Aliskerov to be able to find a KO/TKO against Andre Muniz. 10th fight of the main card would be between Said Nurmagomedov taking on Vinicius Oliviera in the Bantamweight division. Said Nurmagomedov, a very good striker and submission grappler, whose wrestling still needs some work, secured a quick first-round submission against Muin Gafurov by guillotine choke, justifying his -350 betting price tag. He lost to Jonathan Martinez in a controversial decision where he seems to have dominated the first with grappling combined with striking. Vinicius Oliviera, on the other hand, the Brazilian, coming off a decision win against Ricky Simon, where he dominated the fight, winning by unanimous decision as an underdog. He beat Bernardo Sopaj in a comeback victory by knockout. Sopaj was able to push the pace till his cardio gave up on him while withstanding heavy punches and kicks. Vinicius will land the more powerful strikes in this fight, but I feel he's too relaxed with striking, and he wouldn't push the grappling exchanges. Given all of this, I see Said Nurmagomedov taking this fight by unanimous decision. Next fight and 11th fight of the night is between Sergei Pavlovich taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Sergei Pavlovich got his hype derailed after losing to Tom Aspinall by knockout. To his credit, this was a short-minute replacement where the fear of takedown was there, but Aspinall was able to win and finish the fight in the first round with strikes. Fighting former sparring partner and countryman in Alexander Volkov, Pavlovich was a -245 favorite and ended up getting badly outstruck to the body and legs. So bad he shot for a takedown but didn't get it. Jasmine, on the other hand, is coming off a 2-win streak, split decision victory to Tai Tuivasa, and TKO victory over Shamil Gaziev, who quit due to fatigue. All his UFC wins are from fighters who are no longer in the promotion, losing to Jailton Almeida by first round submission, Alexander Volkov by TKO, Curtis Blades and Cyril Gane by unanimous decision. With both fighters averaging 0 takedown, these fights would play out strictly on the feet. Sergei Pavlovich is the more accurate, powerful striker. Rosenstruck is not as technical, but quite effective with lower-ranked heavyweights. Already accumulating 2 losses, I don't see Pavlovich losing this fight. The pick is Pavlovich. I can see a decision play out if both fighters are fighting too technical. Pavlovich by TKO is the predicted method of victory. Moving on to the second to the last fight, the co-main event of the evening, taking place between Shara Magomedov and Michael Page. Shara Magomedov, the significantly younger undefeated fighter, prospect, coming off a 4 straight victories with 2 knockouts against Arman Petrosian, who was winning the striking exchanges but got careless and defensively got caught. Michael Page, on the other hand, having only been finished once in his professional career, which was outside UFC in Bellator to Douglas Lima, who he later got revenge winning by split decision. Michael Page is a welterweight, moving up to middleweight to compete in this fight. Michael Page called out for this fight as he wanted to be on this card and he wanted to be close to his friend in the main event, Isreal Adesanya. My prediction in this fight is the fight to go over 2.5 rounds or the fight to go the distance. If I was to pick a side, I would say the underdog Michael Page to win by decision. Just because I feel Michael Page would be the faster striker, but Shara will be the more powerful striker. I also feel Shara does have a lot of endurance, and so does Michael Page. So this will be a very good chest striking battle in which Shara may utilize his grappling. But Michael Page does have good takedown defense, but we're going to see if he's as good as Shara's takedown offense. But my predicted method is fight to go the distance, over 2.5, and I'll be taking the underdog in Michael Page to win. And method of victory is by decision. So in the final fight of the night and main event, the reason we're all gathered here for this fight card will be between 2 powerful and effective distance strikers, chess players with great kickboxing, in Isreal Adesanya taking on Nassourdine Imavov. Isreal Adesanya coming off a loss to Dricus Du Plessis by submission in the 4th round, where he dominated the striking affairs until Du Plessis changed his style into power shots and wrestling. Sean Strickland, on the other hand, was able to beat Isreal Adesanya for all 5 rounds of the fight. Isreal felt stuck in the mud. Isreal wasn't letting his hands go. Isreal couldn't find a shot. Isreal was being too patient, too technical for his own good, and Sean Strickland just kept pissing him up. For all 5 rounds of that fight, which also gave Sean Strickland the belt at that time, which he later on lost to Dricus in the next fight he had. Sean was able to end a knockdown in the 1st round, with Adesanya having no answers to land strikes on Strickland. Nassourdine Imavov, on the other hand, is coming off a series of wins over lower level middleweights, and in a decision victory against Brandon Allen. But credit to Brandon Allen, he's been streaking up a couple wins prior to that fight. He also earned a decision against Brandon Allen, Roman Dolidze, and a knockout victory in the 4th round against Jared Cannonier, where his cardio failed. My prediction is Isreal, basically, who has never taken 3 straight losses before. The last time was his first time getting finished, so that's also a new experience. I don't see how Imavov wins a striking fight against Israel, who is the better and more experienced kickboxer. Imavov will have to mix in his takedown and would be the one looking for takedowns, but I believe Israel's takedown defense is better than Imavov's takedown offense. I don't think Imavov will be able to hold down Israel, and I don't see Imavov being able to submit Israel on the ground. I don't see Imavov as that level of a grappler. So over 4.5 or fights to go the distance will be the bet and play. So in this main event, I'll be taking Adesanya to win by decision and get a comeback victory, which leaves him back in the top 5 of the division to get more exciting fights. So thank you all very much for taking the time to listen to me and watching all my quick breakdowns. More fights may be added to the cards, and once there are, I'll create more videos to explain and break them down and also give my predictions. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening to me, and peace.